Hey everybody, welcome to the video. I hope you're doing great. Today, we're in prison. Well, kinda. The Yuma Territorial Prison. Historic, built in the late 1800s. It was the main prison to the area. Operated for around 30 years. And I think over 30,000 inmates. We got the cemetery right behind us. We'll be taking a look at that. But we're in Yuma, Arizona, and this is right next to the Mexican border. A lot of people come down here and just get out of their cold weather states. There's RV parks everywhere for the retired or whoever. Quartzsite, van lifers, you name it. We got it all. And what else? Molar City in Mexico. A buddy of mine, he's like, hey, dude, I'm going to go down to Molar City. I'm like, dude, I'm going with you. Let me make sure you're all right. So he just walked across the border, got picked up by some dentist office and taking him to get some work done on his teeth. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and just show you my trip here to Yuma. Probably this is the #1 tourist attraction of Yuma, around 100,000 people. We might cover this during this video as I do my voiceover work for you and show you some of the sights and sounds. But let's go ahead and get started with our visit to Yuma, Arizona, next to the Mexican border. Let's get going. All right, let's get started with our adventure. All right, here we go. So we're headed towards the Mexican border right outside of Yuma and California, and there's the wall in all its glory. I dropped off my buddy, watched him walk across the border. The border crossing is insane. Insanity. I've never seen anything quite like it. And he said he had to wait to get across about 3 hours in line just to walk across. I can't even imagine how long it would take to get across in a car. And there you go. That little awning was for the Border Patrol to keep an eye on the wall. Now, this is Yuma's prison that was running back in the late 1800s to the early 1900s. And here you go. This is where you pay your $10. They got a little souvenir and gift shop. But it was really cool. Well worth the $10. There's an old mission up on the hill, and you can see that bridge. That's where the Pacific Coast Railroad came in and took about 2/3 of this prison over to make the railroad. In fact, this was the first railway that came into the Yuma territory and connected the West Coast in Arizona. But yeah, there it is, the old ferry Yuma crossing. That bridge would open up and allow ferries to go through, as you can see right there. But really interesting. This prison was one of the highlights of my trip. There's the guard tower, it's still there. And they called it the Alcatraz of the West, really. And it was brutal. I mean, back in the 1800s, they were basically, it was hard time back then. Nothing like you get now, but there's still a lot of the original prison there. And if they rebuilt anything, they salvaged a lot of the things. And here you go. They have movie night at the prison, which is really cool. You can go to the prison and watch movies, and there's tons of time period memorabilia on display to go check out. Just a super, super cool thing for sure. I really enjoyed checking out all the time period. And there you go. There's a little miniature building of what it was like back in the day. And this is where you can go in, and this was really cool too. This was running on loop. It was like a little 5 or 10 minute video telling you the history of the prison and some of the people that did time there, some of the guards, some of the wardens. You can even take a picture of yourself with a wanted sign or an inmate number. This was cool. This was the physician, the prison physician's kit. And I found it really interesting how rudimentary. I mean, the fact, like, look at the healthcare that you get then was brutal. It was brutal for sure. And here you go. This is where the cell blocks are. And the cell blocks were tiny, hot out there. Of course, it gets brutally hot and then cold. And so they still had the cells available for you to go look at and see what they were like. And you can only imagine doing time in one of these cells. I mean, this was not easy time for sure, but really fun to just walk through here and see this old 1800s prison. And this is actually the #1 tourist destination for, or attraction rather, for Yuma. More people come here, and I can see why. I mean, they've just done a phenomenal job. The place is pristine. And look at this. This is, the actual bunks that these guys were 6 to a cell. I mean, it was cramped. It was hot. It was stinky. It was gnarly. It was just crazy, crazy, crazy. But it gets better, actually, or worse, depending on how you look at it. Also, you would have the dark cell, I believe they call it, which is supposedly one of the most haunted places, reported hauntings of anywhere. This place supposedly is got a lot of, paranormal activity. We're going to see that dark cell here in a second, but they were known for their prison library. It was one of the best of all prisons, and they had a really good library. This prison did shut down eventually, and they moved all the prisoners to a different location, and the Yuma High School actually moved in. And they used this place as their high school while they're waiting for their high school to be built. And their name is the Yuma Crims, which they shortened it because originally it was the Yuma Criminals. But they get teased by other schools all the time, so they shortened it to the Crims as their name. And here's some more holding cells. Basically, these are out in the yard area. I'm not sure why they had cells out in the yard area. I guess maybe they would stage you there before they turned you loose to go out in the yard. But here it is, the dark cell. This is where you'd go to get punished, and you'd be in here for months in your underwear. There's bats up in the ceiling, and it just felt spooky in here. In fact, I didn't want to, there was nobody else around. It was just me, and I didn't want to spend much time in there. It actually just kind of gave me the creeps a little bit, but I did go all the way in and took one for the team. And so, yeah, you got that. You've got, here's like a storage shed for some of the tools that they were using to upkeep the area. Some of this stuff looked like a regular shovel. You might still have it in your garage today, but a lot of the stuff was, in fact, time period correct with these old wheelbarrows and wagons, but it's kind of interesting. And then over here, they also had women. Women's were at the prison, which caused a big fuss. Actually, this is the infirmary here. So this is where if you were sick, they'd put you in there. But this next cell is the women's cell. And they did have women in this prison. And it wasn't uncommon back in the day, but it would cause a lot of issues. There's an outside, they call it the bird cage, where they would stick you as well for punishment if you weren't playing well with others. But the property itself, as you can see, is just absolutely phenomenal. Clean property for sure. And it was just so fun. Yuma's known for being the sunniest place on earth. They have a lot of snowbirds that come here, and there's just RV parks everywhere. And like my buddy, he went to this place called Molar City across the border, which is just the dentist. Like, it's like this big competition, and they're just selling cheap dental work. And it's a little bit of a roll of the dice for sure. I would be a little leery about just walking across the border and letting anybody give me dental work. But here we go. We're up at the guard tower, taking a look around. You see the Colorado River, the old Pacific Railway bridge. And they also do have something that I thought was pretty cool. They had the prison cemetery down below, which we'll get to here in a moment, and we'll take a look at the prison cemetery. But look at this, I will say this, their parks, which we'll see in a second as well, were so beautiful. Just beautiful. Just like this park here, the old prison, was just perfect. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. And one of the things that was cool is there was just a lot of retirees This is just a great place if you're out here for the winter months to get out of the cold with your RV and your RV park. There's bike paths and parks. They all connect. And I just saw more and more of these retirees on their electric bikes riding around. There's a parking lot down there where you can park and go enjoy the parks and bathrooms. And here you go, the old wall of the prison. You can see the little slots there. I don't know if those were little gun perches or what for guards. But there's the cemetery. We'll go ahead and take a little walk through there. And that's probably what it looked like back in the day. And they even have all the names of the people that were buried here. So yeah, you probably don't want to disrupt a resting place of the dead. Maybe they did. Maybe that's why the place has so many reported paranormal activity and hauntings. But yeah, it's just a beautiful, beautiful area for sure. And here we go. This is right down below. And I walked down and took a look at the Colorado River. And it was so beautiful. And just the parks around here are so great. And it would be great. Other thing I saw was people with canoes and even boat launches where I was so surprised I didn't see anybody actually on the water. In the summer months when it's massively hot, there's even beaches. So I'm sure people get in there and swim and get cooled off. Really, really beautiful for sure. But I was amazed at how quiet it was. See, there's a guy, people are friendly, they're happy, they're out of this cold weather, feeling great. There's beautiful benches, Gateway Park right here, and little gazebos and picnic areas and barbecue areas. Just tons and tons of things to see and a lot of historical value here. And they have spared no expense on just making sure these places are well kept. And they've invested into their city quite well. And they're doing just a phenomenal job for sure. And there you go, more of the Colorado. This is a different park that I was in and went walking around. Here's downtown Yuma. There's a famous movie, 3:10 to Yuma. I want to go rewatch that because it's Christian Bale and I'm a fan of his. Here's the pool area and me having my lunch finally. That was a patty melt. I stayed at this casino and resort, which is right there, the closest to the border. And most of the people I saw in there were actually going across the border for dental work or seeing the pharmacy. Here we go, another RV park. People park right there. And then this was another area park. And this place was, for days. You could walk these parks for days. I saw a couple like homeless camps along the river, but the people that I saw were pretty mellow. It wasn't anything like I see here in California. And I was kind of wondering, being a border town, if they would have, a big, homeless issue, but they really didn't. It was pretty mellow. Everybody was pretty on their best behavior and didn't have any problems. Although, walking alone along the river and seeing a homeless camp or some riffraff, of course, when you're alone was a little bit. But here's a boat launch right at the park. You didn't have to pay. You just go right in. And here's some little, I think they have classes here for the kids in this park. And they had some teepees and they had a little kind of sitting area where a teacher could, teach the kids. And I saw a lot of volunteers here just keeping the upkeep of the park. And it was just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Here you go. This is on the freeway. These are all dental signs for dentist offices, and they're all across the border. This is Molar City is what they call it. And I was just flabbergasted. I was like, wow. Look at all the billboards. That is insane how many billboards there were just selling services. And my friend who went, he was talking to one guy and they're like, yep, just go to the hotel near the border. And look at this. This is an old structure, super cool. And once they get you across the border, you're actually there, you call them and they come get you. And I think they're basically selling you off to who was ever available to take you. So some people have their dental office that they've been to before and they just come back. And like here at the hotel, like I said, I was talking to a couple some older people that came from Oregon, flew in to go see their dentist. They had an established dentist. My friend just kind of rolled the dice, and he got crowns and root canals and cleanings. He was pretty jacked up. He had to go back and forth for 3 days straight, but he paid $2,000 for what would probably cost 10 at least. Here's another cool rock formation leaving the area, headed back home, stopped through Yucca Valley, Apple Valley, near basically Joshua Tree National Forest. And so, all right, friends, I hope you enjoyed this video of Yuma, Arizona, and some of the things that I got myself into. If you appreciate the video, give it a like, subscribe to the channel. See you on the next one.